Ready Check Radio.
Stand by as we get ready to serve up all your news this week in the world of gaming. Welcome to Gaming Gumbo.
What's up, Internet? It's Saturday, it's 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on Ready Check Radio, it's time for Gaming Gumbo, your weekly gaming wrap-up show. And man, we got a lot to talk. Well, really, we don't have a lot to talk about, but they are big. There's like bigger topics. We're going to start off with the bad news first. We're going to get the ugly portion out of the way, and then we'll roll on to some good stuff, some stuff we can maybe be excited about. I'm Mike Byrne, your host, a.k.a. Magic Man, and welcome to Gaming Gumbo. Chat joining us live, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. If you're watching on YouTube, listening on Audible, Spotify, awesome. Thank you so much. Give it a like, a thumbs up, turn on the subscriptions and notifications, comment, tell your friends about it. It's easy, it's fast, and it's a cheap way to support us. In fact, it's free. And you can head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com to get all those socials. Joining me to go over all the fun. This is fine. This is fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Mr. Dom Greco, what's up, sir?
How's it going?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad. I mean, it looks fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's
nothing to.
You sure there's nothing going on over there? Okay. All right.
No,
I'll take your word for it. Who
Yeah.
am I to tell you what's going on in your place? It's none of my business.
Fine.
Also on the line, the resident artist of Ready Check Radio, Yod. I know, Yod.
We got one subject.
Yeah, like Yod. I reached out to and I was like, hey, look, I know you were on the last two shows. Tomorrow's technically your week off, and it should be Dom and Troy, but I'm pretty sure you know one of our big topics. I'm sure as a creative, you probably have some additional thoughts that maybe the regular gamer isn't thinking about. Do you want to do the show? And he was like, yeah, oh hell yeah, I'm in.
I mean, you think you know companies, and you think you've come to the conclusion that nobody can bend you over harder than Adobe.
Yeah.
But what happened, Mike?
Yeah, it's been
What happened?
It's been a week. It's been a week. So yeah, we're gonna start off with the whole Unity thing and talk about that and just get that out of the way because yeah, it's a mess. And then obviously we had Nintendo's Direct, we had the Sony State of Play. We got good gaming stuff to talk about, and we can skip the games we're not interested in, be hyped about the games we are interested in, show some trailers, talk about them, maybe see some things Dom's gonna pick up and never fucking open again. That would be pretty dope. But we would be very remiss if we did not talk about what's going on with Unity. So Unity, the engine that quite a few people use, it. It's not just an indie thing anymore. It hasn't been for a while. There's been some big projects, AAA projects, developed on Unity. Whether or not a developer or a team or an individual just creating their own game for the first time opts to use Unity versus, let's say, Unreal Engine or some other engine, there's a lot of thought that goes into that, and obviously cost is going to be a factor, right? There's no way around that. It might not be the factor, but cost is certainly a factor. When you've got the Unreal Engine charging certain fees for certain seats, depending on what package you want, but then predominantly just scraping a percentage of revenue off the top, there is something enticing about the way Unity has always monetized itself, where it's giving you options as far as what you're going to pay, and even if you're going to pay in certain circumstances. So, yeah, generally Unity pretty favorably looked upon, right? In the past, too, they were very, anti percentage of revenue. Yeah. Go ahead.
They even put up a GitHub thing that you could download and play with their coding and stuff like that.
Whoops.
They were all about helping the little guy. You moving things around there, Mike?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's all fine.
It's all fine. I don't know why you guys are all worried. Everything is fine. Everything is fine.
I'm just doing the creative side of on projects and stuff, so I don't get
Yeah.
into the actual game engine that much. But Dom over there, you've got to have some kind of unique perspective going on.
Yeah, and so I do want to be clear here. I don't want to put Dom in a weird
Right.
compromised spot. I talked to him ahead of the show to make sure that we would not do that. Dom working for Goose Goose Duck, obviously a game created on Unity. Goose Goose Duck really hasn't gotten involved in too much of like the public back and forth yet that we're seeing on Twitter, and we'll go through some of the company's feedback now. But, you know, obviously, I'm sure, Dom, they're watching the situation and going to make a decision that's best for them should push come to shove, and they have to make that type of decision. But we're not going to ask you to comment on behalf of Goose Goose Duck. We're not going to put you in a position where you would be a rep for them. That's not your job for them. So we certainly won't do that here. But we'll note that for you, dear viewer, that yes, Goose Goose Duck, Unity, of course, I would imagine, just like every other Unity-based game and developer, weighing their options and watching how things play out. So what happened?
Absolutely.
They decided that they were going to install thresholds or put in place thresholds to monetize installs. Remember, unlike...
Not installs onto the people using Unity as a company making games, mind you.
Nope.
Because that would make sense.
Yep.
That would just, make sense.
Yep. And remind you... we'll get to that later. Let's start with... There was a point I want to make, and then I was like, got caught in my head because I'm like, well, we could probably make another point first. But anyway, let's talk about what this actually means. When you install a game that is using Unity, you end up getting two packets, basically, right? You get
the end
user, right? Yeah. You're getting the Unity runtime, which is in everything, and then the Unity engine itself, right? You're getting the code, the components that are going to actually run the game. So it's Unity editor and Unity runtime. Well, the runtime is now going to be monetized, meaning that if you meet certain download / and revenue thresholds, you, the developer, will be paying Unity 20 cents per install of that runtime file, which is installed every time you install a game. It's important to note that if you install a game, you have Unity runtime. If I installed Goose Goose Duck next, I have the runtime that goes with Goose Goose Duck. It's not like this dude already has runtime. Nope. They're particular to games. And if I delete a game and reinstall it, I need to get that runtime again. Important for some points that are going to be made later.
Right. I also want to point out, though, that updating a game does not reflect those changes.
Okay. But I do want to also say that they seem to have removed the whole not having to do this type of pricing plan from previous versions out of their terms of service.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. Like we got to get we're going to get through because there's a lot of their terms of service stuff historically that all of a sudden has disappeared from the internet.
Yeah.
Well, not disappeared. We have it. But where it originally was posted, it's no longer there. So here's the package thresholds. If you have Unity Personal or Unity Plus as the developer, 200,000 USD or more in the last 12 months, and have at least 200,000 lifetime game installs. On the Pro and Enterprise side of Unity, 1 million USD or more in the last 12 months, and have at least 1 million lifetime game installs to then start triggering these fees, which are going to go into place January 1st of this year and be retroactive as far as counting your number of installs. Not necessarily being charged, but to see if you meet these thresholds, they're going to count the past installs of your product. They wanted to put forth, hey, look, this is only going to impact like 10% of our Unity user base. Like these are big numbers that really only 10% of our base has even a shot of making. And it should be noted here, Unity, unlike somebody like Epic Games, Unity is a publicly traded company now. So there is this perception, Dom, of things are now starting to shift at Unity, where it was this young upstart kind of against the establishment as far as certain fees and percentages went. Now that they're public, maybe not so much.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm curious how much of this was actually like really thought out and like, before it was presented. Because it seemed like it came out and not enough information was given, and they almost seemed like they were like backpedaling on a lot of their statements instead of like making it very clear to begin with. Like, because something like this is obviously going to be controversial no matter how you spin it.
Right. You're changing the way you do business with your clients. And you also aren't putting in any type of like grandfathering effect on previous terms of services that the companies have agreed to. Like there is no option here. Pray I don't alter the deal further. It's just like, you're stuck.
This is from the same former electronics arts CEO that came up with the bright idea of, people will pay extra to reload faster in their first-person shooter game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try that. So yeah, you gotta remember, this is the same CEO that did that.
Yeah. Obviously, when this hit the internet, it just basically set Unity on fire. And Dom, to your point, they weren't ready. They were not ready for backlash, which is surprising because there was going to be backlash in general. But then basic questions. How are you counting installs? Are we now supposed to submit counts of installs of our product to you? No, we're going to count that on our side. We believe, we believe we have accurate ways to count those types of installs. And then just general, like off the top of your head things. What about demos? What about if my game is free on Xbox Game Pass or free on the Epic Game Store? Now, all of a sudden, I'm getting 2 million downloads. I can't afford to pay you that rate because I'm not making money. I'm in a humble bundle. Like, what goes on here? What if I get review bombed in the way of download, uninstall across thousands of bot accounts because people will do stupid shit like that.
They've already done it.
Yeah.
Like they tested it out. I saw a thing on Reddit about it. They did like 1 million installs in like the span of a minute or something like that.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And Unity's answer on a lot of these things, not all, but most, has been, we'll be able to work that out. You'll be able to work that out with your account rep.
Sure you will.
We'll be able to. What about pirated version installs? Oh, well, we're not going to charge you for pirated versions. We're not going to charge you for demos. Interesting caveat, as long as the demo is not part of the full client. Early access doesn't count as a demo either. So early access, You're going to pay for that. And if you build your demo into your main client, Dom, AKA, I want you to be able to have everything, play the demo. That way, as soon as you click buy, you can just roll, baby. Take everything you've done so far, keep going. You don't have to download squat. Nope, you're going to want your demo to be a separate client to the original demo. Otherwise, or to the full version of the game. Otherwise, you're going to get fees there. Unity was not ready for any of these questions. They weren't ready to prove their model. And then as us users, right, we start having questions. Because if I install a game on a computer and uninstall it and reinstall it, as part of Unity's response to this stuff, they said, no, you would not get charged for Mike installing that game on his PC a second time. But if Mike installed it on his Steam Deck, you would. Okay.
And then his laptop and then his phone.
Right. Okay. Now, in the US here, we don't have GDPR, but I live in a world where I constantly have to recognize the impacts of GDPR in what I do for my day job in software engineering. I constantly have to think about that. So my mind immediately goes, what information is Unity getting from the developer or getting through their own processes that I'm not aware of, nor did I give permission for them to get, to recognize my install and that it was taking place on a separate device from the original installation. Right. What else do you have, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, what are you scraping off my computer that I don't know about?
Mhm.
This is some like privacy invasion BS going on here. I didn't even think about that earlier.
Yeah,
Oh
the
my.
biggest thing here is just the absolute burning, and Dom, I'm going to throw this to you since you're in the right room for it. The absolute just burning of all goodwill this company had baked up for years over their processes and their transparency and putting their TOSs in various areas that you could go and reference it. Then to do this, it immediately, and to do it in a very trust me bro type of way, right? We're never going to inflate your counts. If anything, they'll be underreported than overreported. Trust me. If you get review bombed or you're up on Xbox Game Pass, those aren't going to count because those fees get put onto the distributor. Oh, really? So now Microsoft has to say, Dom, you got a really great game there. We would love to give you X $100,000, put this thing on Game Pass, give it away for free for a while. We would normally give you 200,000 for that, but we're going to have to give you 150 because going forward, since you were dumb enough to make your game on Unity, I'm going to have to absorb $50,000 worth of download costs for Unity if I want to put it on Game Pass. Do you think that publishers aren't immediately going to take into consideration what a game is programmed on and what that might mean for them on how they want to distribute it and fees? They just burnt this all down in a very, no, don't worry, it's all cool, we got you way, with no warning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think one of the most dangerous things here, right, is let's just say Unity decides that they're going to backtrack on the whole thing.
They can't.
The most dangerous thing. I know.
I'm sure
just
they
saying,
could.
Let's hypothetically just say this. The most dangerous thing that they've done is they've already made such a fuss about it that it's already got people looking at different game engines and whatnot. So like that already, before the pricing is even kicked in, was a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yod, we've talked about this often here and on MMO Bomb when free-to-play games do something stupid with their monetization, right?
Oh, yes.
They do something
Oh, yes.
ridiculously over the top. It causes an uproar. They peel it back 2 steps, which is still more than the original. And then everybody's like, okay, well, it's not as bad as it could have been, right? Unity seems pumped and primed for that type of thing. Well, we're going to peel it back and maybe it's 5 cents per install instead of 20 cents. And okay, well, that's a little bit better, or they repeal it all the way back. But I say this every time a free-to-play game company does it. I'm going to tell you it right now because of Unity doing it. It doesn't matter if they roll any of this back or all of it back. You saw what they wanted to do. Period.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah. What's gonna keep them from trying it again later?
Yeah.
What's gonna keep them from trying to do something else underhanded down the line? That the rep is worth so much more than a day's pay. I mean, come on now.
We've got reactions obviously coming in from all kinds of developers, from AAA down to one-person projects. And there's been some wild, hey, if I would owe them $5 million, and then when you dig into it, you're like, yeah, you have a bunch of downloads, but you're a free-to-play thing. You don't meet the revenue requirement because it's an and requirement, revenue and downloads, not one or the other. So we're going to stay away from some of those, but some opinions of various devs, because Dom, like you said, every single person, entity, company using Unity right now is investigating all of their options.
Yep.
Because switching engines is challenging, but it's not impossible. You do have to maybe teach people new tricks and tools, and you have to kind of think about budgeting wise. It's not cheaper for me to, it is cheaper for me to switch to Unreal 5 on the surface, but then I've got to invest some money in training people. Like, all of those things have to be taken into consideration. What is really being taken into consideration, and I'm seeing a lot of across the board, Dom, is what am I going to do with my future projects? Goose Goose Duck makes a sequel. I see a lot of companies in that boat saying, okay, you know what? Number 2 of our game is in very early development. We're out now. Like, we don't even have to think about this. We're out now. Let's go use something else.
Yeah, there's just like I said, there's a lot of options. You know, we haven't said anything personally within our company what we're doing yet, but like I said, it is everybody is just weighing all of their options right now. Everyone.
Here's
And
from
it's
here's from
insane.
here's from Aggro Crab. I love this one. Hey gamers, today Unity, the engine we use to make our games, announced that they'll soon be taking a fee from developers for every copy of the game installed over a certain threshold, regardless of how that copy was obtained. Again, Unity did then go and follow up and say, pirated stuff isn't going to count, demos won't count, these won't count, and so offering no validation of how they're going to prove that. It's going to be up to Yod's company to prove we were on Game Pass, right?
Right.
Guess who has a somewhat highly anticipated game coming to Xbox Game Pass in 2024? That's right, it's us and a lot of other developers. That means another Crab's Treasure will be free to install for the 25 million Game Pass subscribers. If a fraction of those users downloaded our game, Unity could take a fee that puts an enormous dent in our income and threatens the sustainability of our business. It should be noted here that there's also the revenue requirement. It's not just strictly the downloads. And from what Unity has said, it would be Microsoft that would be on the hook for the fee here as the distributor through Game Pass. Again, all the asterisks in the world across all of those. It doesn't take away from Aggro Crab's point here that Unity then followed up with some vague-ass statements.
Right.
And that's before we even think about sales on other platforms or pirated installs of our games or even multiple installs by the same user. This decision puts us and countless other studios in a position where we might not be able to justify using Unity for our future titles. If these changes aren't rolled back, we'll be heavily considering abandoning our wealth of Unity expertise we've accumulated over the years and starting from scratch in a new engine, which is really something we'd rather not do. On behalf of the dev community, we're calling on Unity to reverse the latest in a string of short-sighted decisions that seem to prioritize shareholders over their product's actual users. I fucking hate it here.
Yeah. And what's because Unity, I'm assuming Unity does not have some kind of contract with Microsoft that makes them pay for anything with games that are developed under Game Engine. So how are they going to force Microsoft to pay for this?
Yeah. There's all kinds of questions.
Laugh at them. They're just going to laugh at them. They're going, what are you talking about? We don't have to pay any money.
No,
we don't use
the way you do that is you put as Unity, you put pressure on the developer to put pressure on Microsoft so that it's a two-pronged fight. But it's still a pain in the ass.
Yeah, Microsoft's still going to laugh at you because it's fucking Microsoft.
No, it's not, because it gets to a point where now you don't have any Unity-developed projects on your tool because the developers say, hey, I can't afford to do this.
Right.
And Microsoft says, okay, fine, we'll eat the fee. We really want the game on the platform. It turns into Microsoft needing to pay for those or wanting to pay for those. Cult of the Lamb put out a good one. Obviously, this one's a little facetious, but not far off the mark on what I'm sure some developers are considering. Cult of the Lamb said, buy Cult of the Lamb now because we're delisting it on January 1st.
I like that one. I like that one.
Obviously, a little tongue-in-cheek. I can't imagine they'll actually do it that way, but that is... Inner Sloth Games, among us, Dom, is a company that said, that's on the table. Mm-hmm. Delisting our game is on the table.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Some devs are getting back already. Have you seen this, Dom? They're getting back at Unity already, shutting those ads off.
Mm-hmm. I have, yeah.
What's going on there? Because I think it's great.
I didn't look into this too much. I did see that they were shutting it off, though.
They're cutting off the ad and monetization revenue that they would normally send to the engine provider. So 16 studios have switched off in their tools Unity ads and Iron Source SDKs in all of their titles. They said they're not going to restore those until new conditions behind the everything are being considered. So it's costing them ad revenue right off the bat from Azure Games, Voodoo, Homa, Century Games, Say Games, Crazy Labs, Original Games, Ducky, Bernie Games, Inspired Square, Geisha Tokyo, Tatsumaki Games, Kayak, New Story, Play Legendary, Playgendary. I hate pronouncing that one. And Super Cent. And they've written an open letter calling to other devs to do the same. So you can shut off the Unity ads inside the products as well. And then a lot of them are taking to Twitter. Let's get to some of their responses, and then we got to talk about what happened with Unity's FAQ. Yeah, so I was going to throw this to Yod. Yeah, Yod, take this one. Take the I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking here.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, take the wizard, take the wizard with a gun one. It's the one that I'm highlighted right now in the notes. That I'm on. Yeah.
Aha.
Go ahead and read their statement.
Okay, wizard with a gun. Wizard with a gun will be Galvanic's last game in Unity. Huh. Unity has provided a lot of value for us. It's why we've spent almost a decade at Galvanic building a business around their engine. So far, our licensing fees for making Wizard with a Gun engine have been 100,000. It's not bad.
Yeah, they even say that. Yeah, they say it's a small fee.
A relatively small fee compared to what a revenue share on a major success would cost. I can understand why Unity would want to share in our success, since our successes as so far have depended on the incredible engineering work their team has done. But it has become increasingly obvious the engineering is no longer what drives Unity as a company. There would have been a right way to go about these changes.
Yeah, and this is a huge point, right? They're not making the point, Dom, that like, you know what, it's Unity being it is Unity being greedy in the way they're going about this. But they don't even fault them for, hey, wanting a little bit of a bigger piece of the pie when things get very, very, very successful for certain games built on Unity. But their whole point is, hey, you can't do this to shit that already exists, first off. You whatever contracts you have open right now, those all need to run their full course. Any current projects need to finish. This needs to be if this is the way you want to go, it needs to be the way going forward. That's their point one. Their point two is, you know what? If you're going to do this, you might as well just be a revenue share like Epic Games or other engines are.
Right. Yep. Right. Which on the first point, it's like the equivalent of Photoshop going, okay, everything that you've ever made in Photoshop since the beginning, you now have to give me a piece of. Yeah. So something I made in college in Photoshop 3.01, which now it's what, Photoshop 24 or something. If I sold that piece for whatever reason and somebody bought it, Adobe would still want a piece of that pie. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Dom, what did Megacrit, creators of Slay the Spire, have to say?
They said the team has been hard at work in these past 2+ years on a new game, but unlike with Slay the Spire, the engine we have been developing, it is in Unity. The retroactive pricing structure of a runtime fee is not only harmful in a myriad of ways to developers, especially indies, it is also a violation of trust. We believe Unity is fully aware of this, seeing as they have gone so far as to remove their TOS from GitHub.
Yep.
Despite the immense amount of time and effort our team has already poured into development of our new title, we'll be migrating to a new engine unless the changes are completely reverted and TOS protections are put back into place. We have never made a public statement before. That is how badly you fucked up.
No punches being pulled here, and you know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for it. We have never made a public statement before. That's how bad you fucked up. Then we get a little bit of insight from the inside. Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. I don't have any particular reason to doubt that who I'm about to quote here is who they say they are. But this is not like something I've reported on for MMO Bomb where I've gone like 3 sources to verify certain things. This is just somebody who has all the right tags, who seems to have the right experience in a couple traces, you know, that I believe who they say they are, but I have not verified it myself. Jono Forbes claims to have worked at Unity until 2 days ago. Tweeting out, well, looks like my 7 years at Unity has ended a few days early. But what's interesting is that they also replied to a few other things going on. A few other people asking questions. Earlier, one of you, I think it was you, Dom, right? Or was it, yeah, you know, how'd this make it through legal and HR and employees and the boardroom and stuff to become a decision? Well, Jono Forbes responding to somebody saying, whether Unity backtracks or not, the fact that these decisions made it through leadership, legal, marketing, and employees says a lot about the organizational health of the company. As a partner, Unity is a source of unknown amounts of risk. Making new games on it would be unwise. Jono Forbes replied to this, saying, hey, as a Unity employee until this morning, I assure you, we fought like hell against this, brought up all the points everyone has, were told answers were coming, and then the announcement went out without any warning. Those of us who care are out. More resignations coming end of week. So seems like it's not all as well on the inside of Unity over this either. And finally, they did try. They were planning an FAQ and a town hall and everything. Unfortunately, that town hall got canceled and 2 Unity offices closed for the day over credible death threats. All right. Everything Unity has done here, Dom, is shitty. Everything. From the conceptualization of this plan, to the announcement of this plan, to the handling of the backlash afterwards. Nobody deserves death threats.
No, never okay.
Line
Never.
too far.
Yep.
Line too far. Here's what's very unfortunate about those death threats. According to San Francisco police, who were replying to Nicole Carpenter, a senior reporter over at Polygon, they got back to her and said, hey, that report actually came from an employee who works at a different out-of-state location. So call was coming from inside the house, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm being facetious. Death threats are obviously not funny. Nobody was hurt, thankfully, in this situation. But yeah, I don't know, Dom. Like, why? Why burn it down over this?
I mean, obviously, they're not happy internally. Like, information was not shared with the rest of the company. It was just kind of thrown out there, you know, like all the reasons you stated. And when it doesn't feel good inside the company, how could it ever feel good outside the company?
Yeah, and Angira, I don't know if you just joined us. That's something we were mentioning earlier. Angira says they let the cat out of the bag that they don't even have the tech to accurately track the installs yet. They use aggregate data and trust me, bro estimates till they finish the back end. They 100% were not prepared for this announcement, much less to roll it out. Belluar has a vid on the new developments. Yeah, I watched Belluar's video 2 hours ago. He put it up like 4 hours ago. Nothing really new in that video that we haven't talked about here. Besides them saying, which we already reviewed, that, yeah, if anything, we're going to undercount things while we level out the tech. Yeah, I think we actually said, trust me, bro, as our example on a lot of this too. Yeah, I just don't understand. Like, I get it's a publicly traded company. They got to make money. I get it. We've even seen some of these developers not begrudge them a piece of the pie when something becomes very successful. They just said, hey, there's better ways to go about doing this. Installs isn't it. And by the way, it needs to be a going forward thing. which you think
Right.
that would have been plan one. Hey, going forward, we need to change the way we do business. Obviously, contracts on the floor will stand, but no, they went back and tried to scrub their TOS from GitHub. They changed language in it. It's a why?
Right. Well, to me, this is once again the battle between the CEO and stockholders that they've come in with, because obviously it wasn't always publicly traded, and they've had a change in leadership stuff, and the developers that are there, that and the code writers that are actually passionate about what they do. Those people deserve more of a piece of the pie, hands down. The new leadership that's come in, that's trying to put this new BS in place, yeah, they've got to go, because they just shattered a company that built something really good, that could have, moving, like you said, moving forward, lay down new ground rules. You can't go back 20 years and say that game that you made on our engine 20 years ago, or however long it was when Unity was built, you got to give us a piece of that if it for some reason hits viral and gets super hot downloads. No, you can't do that. That's done and dusted. You got to move forward, and they're obviously not doing that, and it boggles my mind why people think that this would actually work. Ugh.
Yeah, so here's the deal. Like, I get it. Revenue is hard to come by. The way Unity has operated in the past, it's hard to come by, right? So you've got a company that a year ago, well, not even a year. Let's look at 5 years. At one point in November of 2021, had a stock price of $196 and change. So 2 years ago. They're now at $36.32. Now,
Damn.
that's 2 years ago. A lot changes over 2 years. They had some bad fiscal quarters. They were losing money in some of those quarters, and that is the primary driver. In the short term here, looking at the last week, their stock price has not really fluctuated much at all. Because the backlash from this is going to come later. The investors who are influencing that stock price like this, but the customers don't, and it'll take a while for it to wash out to see who wins on this one more. But primarily, remember, Unity has usually, Dom, been used to help you develop mobile games. And yes, it does other things, right? But a big piece of its revenue is helping you develop a mobile game that's probably going to be free to play, that they can monetize through ads, right? That is the bread and butter for Unity in the last 3-4 years. That's their revenue, bread, and butter. But now you have companies like Apple, Facebook not happy at Apple right now, Unity not happy at Apple right now, with enabling different privacy initiatives that allow customers to opt out of data sharing, right? That's Unity's bread and butter. That's hurting their bottom line. I don't doubt for a minute they needed to find a new revenue stream. This wasn't it. This ain't going to be it. And even if it's rolled all the way back to, no changes, we're going to rethink this, I think the damage is already done. There are going to be developers that just don't start a project on Unity, that Unity was going to be exactly what they were going to go with. Am I wrong?
Nope. They said the most dangerous thing they did was let people explore options.
Yeah, I also have seen Havoc mentioning it in chat. I have seen executives selling stock. We didn't really bring it up here because when I dug into it, the shares were meaningless. They were selling like 200 shares here and there, and historically they've been doing that for months, if not years. Like, the amounts of stocks being sold were negligible as far as any, insider trading type thing went. And it also fit with a pattern of small trading by all of those investors. I did see that reporting. I didn't bring it to the show because it wasn't worth it when you dug into it. Trust-wise, the damage is done. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The damage is done. Go ahead, Jan.
It's like It's like when Wizards of the Coast tried to roll out the new open gaming license. They walked it back, but you know, people went exploring. Like you said, it gave people the option to go, well, what else is out there?
Yeah.
This game's on the table, but we haven't really invested the time in the engine yet. Where can we implement it other than Unity?
You know, Tim Sweeney, private company, Epic Games, is just sitting there like, just licking the chops, right? Just why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen and talked to some people at Unreal that I know that work there on the development side of the engine and sell the engine, and they've said I've gotten more calls this week from people that just want additional information about pricing, about can the engine do this, and I've seen tweets that are just like, what is the biggest thing you think Unity gives you that Unreal doesn't? And I'm here to answer because it probably does. You just got to learn the Unreal way to do it instead of the Unity way to do it.
Right.
You know, I think I'd be licking their chops. Woo,
Right.
what a mess. All right, let's talk about some good news. We had the Nintendo Direct. This week. Lots of good stuff. Still no word on Switch 2. We do know that developers have been getting a hold of it and seeing what it can do behind the scenes, but no official reveal of the Switch 2 or whatever they're going to call it.
The Super Nintendo Switch.
The Super Nintendo Switch.
The Super Switch.
Oh, did you see, by the way, this is totally off topic, the PlayStation thing, the handheld thing that absolutely sucks, and I have no idea who that's for.
Oh God!
It's
I saw the IGN showing of the little trailer for it. I almost puked in my mouth.
$200, doesn't have Bluetooth, can't play remotely. You got to be on the same network as your PlayStation. It's basically, do you want to play your PS5 game while you're taking a shit? Because that's all the thing can do, really.
And once again, at that point, you might as well just get the PlayStation VR.
Yeah.
Come on now. Let's face it. It's a PlayStation VR that's not strapped to your head.
Here's what is it called? It's called the PlayStation Portal.
Yeah.
Right? Way to piss people off, huh? Give it that fucking PSP name. Oh, you did us dirty. You did us dirty. Anyway, back to the Nintendo Direct.
Yes.
Dom, I'm going to throw it to you, resident Nintendo fanboy. What'd you think of this Nintendo Direct from top to bottom, and then we'll get into some specific games.
It was good. I like seeing Paper Mario.
Right?
Like
I
very,
literally
very
just started playing Thousand Year Door on my Steam Deck like 4 days ago, and then immediately saw this, and I was like, delete that save.
yeah, for sure. The Mario vs. Donkey Kong. This was like something that they had on the. Is it a new one? They had the old ones on there, and it seems like they reused footage because supposedly Charles Martinet is done with being the voice of Mario, but I heard Charles Martinet's voice in this. So I think it is recycled footage. I don't think there's any new voice lines from him in here, but it's clearly his voice. So Charles Martinet has moved over to be the Mario ambassador as opposed to the voice. And
yeah, we talked about that last week where he doesn't know what that job means.
I mean, we also don't know what his last project was.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Yeah. But like the upcoming Mario Wonder game, like it's not his voice in that.
Yeah, it's not him.
So
Okay.
So, I don't know. Like, I'm not a big Splatoon fan. I played a little Splatoon 2. I never played 1. I don't own 3, so like I'm not too excited for the DLC, but I'm sure many people are. And then it goes without saying, Mario RPG. Like
I cannot wait, man. Mario RPG coming on the 17th, November 17th. Yeah. So we don't have long to wait for that. Here, I'm going to show you some B-roll of the remastered Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door. This was a GameCube Paper Mario RPG. Literally, I just started playing it on Steam Deck. I played it years ago. I was like, oh yeah, I'll play this again. Now I'm like, nope, I'm out. I gotta delete this save file, play something else on the Steam Deck. I cannot wait for this. Luigi Mansion 2 getting an HD version coming up. And then here, I thought this was interesting. We saw Tetris Battle Royale. We've seen other fun little battle royales from Nintendo. Now, Yod, we have F-Zero 99, an F-Zero Battle Royale. You can play it if you have a Nintendo Switch online subscription right now. It became available right after the show. I haven't played it yet. I am hearing that it is so chaotic that you don't really get to F-Zero race until there's like 2 or 3 of you left.
Right. I mean, it's like 100 some odd people in a race, which is crazy. And I mean, it's amazing that they can handle that kind of, number of people at one time, which is probably, a feat in itself. But yeah, I can't see anything being actual F-Zero-y until you, like you said, you get down to the last 3 or 4 people, maybe.
Getting bumped the entire time.
Right? Just like all over the place. Like I'd be stuck in the side rails, the electric side rails.
You just get pulled along with the crowd.
To Cal, you're right. Sounds stupid as fuck, and stupid as fuck usually equals fun. Yeah, like you're right. I haven't tried it yet. I want to. My oldest son came down yesterday with his Switch to let me know that Trombone Champ had come out on the Nintendo Switch. He was like, "Hey, I got a rhythm game that's ridiculous. You got to check out." I guess he wasn't home when I did the stream, and I was like, "Are you gonna tell me about Trombone Champ?" And he was like, "Yes. How do you know about it?" And I was like, "It's been out on Steam for a while. I streamed it. Your Uncle Havoc thought it was hysterical." Classic Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 are being remastered for the Switch. That was surprising.
It was.
You can choose between pointy or round boobs.
Yep.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Horizon Chase, Contra, which I thought was interesting, Operation Galuga. We'll have to see. It's been so long since there was a good Contra game.
It's Contra.
I know. Unicorn Overload coming from Atlas and Vanillaware. This is a tactical adventure, so you'll have some overworld. And then a new Saga game. If you want more opinions on that, watch Thursday's The Relic Grind. You can find that on ReadyCheckRadio.com or on YouTube. We also had Princess Peach getting her own title.
Yes. I did like that. That looked like a lot of fun.
Princess Peach Showtime, Yod. What are you thinking?
It looks, the fact that you can, when you switch jobs for her, it's a completely different play style. I think that's a nice little twist on it, and I think I might try it. I might actually try it.
It looks great.
Do you think the Vibe Scepter is gonna make a return?
She's had her own games. Yeah, no. This it's not that she's never had one before. We're finally getting another Princess Peach game.
They're few and far in between.
Yeah, they are very few and far in between. I like when she puts on the like Sherlock Holmes detective outfit. Like right now, I think they're gonna put on the fencing, the sword fighting one.
The fencing looks
in the
really
B-roll here. Yep, yeah, that's what they're putting on now. And all of these give her full different ability complements. It is kind of taking, Dom, like the page out of Paper Mario, right? Like everything's happening on a theater stage, and like the sets are flying in off of pulleys and everything. I dig it.
Yeah. No, it looks fun. It looks fun. I'll probably pick it up and not play it.
Probably. On the other side of things, we had the PlayStation State of Play. We spent a fair amount of gaming or Relic Grind on Thursday talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, getting a new trailer and a February 29th release date now, so we can kind of skip that one. Yod, what'd you see that you liked out of State of Play?
State of Play, it was a lot of Spider-Man to me.
It was a lot of Spider-Man.
Really pushed Spider-Man, and I mean, it was the Final Fantasy that stuck with me because I was watching it with the wife, and she's a major Final Fantasy nut, obviously. So yeah, it's the remake. Got to be a remake. Even though I know you guys talked about it already.
Yeah, the State of Play kind of disappointed me this time around. Yeah. I actually liked the last one, although some people did not. It was obviously nice to see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and get a release date for that. But I feel like, Dom, they kind of were like, we're about to reveal the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The rest of this can just be suck ass. Like, it doesn't have to be great, and nobody's going to care because we have this. I care. Marvel
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Sure.
I'm interested. They are going to be doing some RE4 DLC. Cool. I'm showing footage for Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn. This is going to be an expansion / DLC to Tales of Arise on November 9th. That's cool. I love Tales. Helldivers.
Helldivers look kind of interesting.
I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, there hasn't been many looter shooters that really stuck lately. It looks like fun, although it could be another Anthem.
Yeah.
It totally could.
Avatar, Baby Steps, Honkai Star Rail coming out on the PlayStation 5. Foam Star is getting an open beta, but don't get too excited. It's a 48-hour open beta, so even if you're interested in Foam Stars, you can only play it for like 2 days. And then the new PlayStation 5 and DualSense color combinations in red and blue and stuff like that, and sterling silver. Yeah,
These things should be at launch.
Yeah.
They're like coming out so late. It's like if I already own a PlayStation because you forced me into buying the white model that was the only one that existed, I'm sorry, but I'm not buying another one.
Yep.
Like it's not happening.
That's why they sell the panels.
No.
You pop them off, pop them on. It's all.
I mean,
in the marketing.
Xbox is selling wraps now for theirs.
Yeah.
For the Series
They
X.
like shut a bunch of those sites down that were selling custom wraps for them.
For the PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were making the side panels, but now Microsoft is selling wraps for the Xbox Series X. We'll see how long until they accidentally burn down a house, but whatever.
Right.
We'll see.
I don't know. I am very excited for Final Fantasy VII. This is a game that I will be picking up, and I actually will be playing it. Like
I'm
because
stunned.
I can't avoid. Like, there's no way to avoid spoilers for a game like this, right? So it's one of those that I have to play it immediately. Like, there's no question about it.
Because spoilers
And,
are still a thing for Final Fantasy VII.
Yes, that's the whole trick to it. Is they did such a good job at creating a remake instead of a remaster.
That's true.
Where it's
That is
actually a remake for the first game, and it completely caught you off guard. And like this game, they're still trying to pull the wool over your eyes, and they're still trying to make it seem like Destiny is a thing, and they're still trying to push their very much story of can we change things, and they want to lead you up to believe things can be changed. And I feel like they're gonna get you there, and then when it's supposed to happen, it's not gonna happen.
Of course not.
But then it's going to happen a little bit later and catch you off guard all over again. So that's how I feel that's going to be handled.
Nope.
I will tell you this. This was something that we learned from interview questions after the Relic grind, so we couldn't include it there, but I did read it yesterday. Rebirth takes you to the Forgotten Capital. That's where the story is going to end and go into the third installment at the beginning of the Forgotten Capital. So that gives you an idea of at least what you'll be seeing. So like Wutai, you probably won't see that or maybe see it a little bit. There's some places that you might think you're going to see in this game that you probably won't because of where it ends. Let's slide over and do our games of the week. If I could find the right bump. Games of the Week is the way we end every episode of Gaming Gumbo here. It's where all three of us are going to recommend to you a game. Could be a video game, mobile game, board game, card game, whatever. Something we're playing now, played in the past, or haven't played, but think you should check out. And you let us know in the comments who gave the best recommendation, and leave one of your own as you chime in on everything we've discussed today. I mean, I got to give you Paper Mario, right? I've got to give you Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I know you can't play the new Switch version yet. If you haven't played the original GameCube version, I'm sure there's ways you could take a look and see if you agree that it's a good game. Go ahead, Dom.
The only game I've really been playing this week was, like, in some of my downtime, I was playing a little bit more of some Disney Dreamlight Valley. They're doing brand new, I think, Beauty and the Beast update, but the thing that caught my eye and the thing that has me going right now is they have a bunch of Haunted Mansion items in there, and that's the main draw that pulled me back in.
Just when you thought you were out?
It's one of those games where it's like you boot it up when you have like 20 minutes because it's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and at some point it is getting multiplayer. At some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
We'll see when.
I don't know if I'll have the time to play it as a multiplayer game because I'm not on the game long enough.
Go ahead, Yod.
So I do have to go back to my standby of Destiny 2
Oh, for fuck's sake.
because the next 24 hours ish before they patch it, you can do some fucked up shit with the crafting guns. There's a glitch on it right now where you can actually get crafted guns that aren't standard, and you can get exotic perks on them. So, go mess around with it as long as you can.
If you sons of bitches vote for Destiny 2, I'm canceling this show. That's going to do it for us here today on Gaming Gumbo. We, of course, will be back next Saturday at 7 p.m. with another episode. Don't miss the Relic Grind, our Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix show on Thursday nights, 7 p.m. And chat, don't go anywhere. Joining us to stream some goodness, it's Torchwick. What's up, boss?
Not much. What about you?
Hey, I'm here. You're here again, 2 weeks in a row. What are you playing? Wait a minute. What are you playing?
Well, Dom might want to watch out. Because we're playing the original Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, spoilers. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Spoilers. Where did you get to last week?
So we had just gotten through the sewers after Don Corneo. We're in the train graveyard.
Gotcha. To the train graveyard we go. Chat, don't go anywhere. Give us a minute or two to take things down, relabel it, and Torchwick will be back up playing the original PlayStation 1 version of Final Fantasy VII. I did see that you made one exception on your renaming on last week's stream. Why did we rename?
So her name is Aerith, and you cannot convince me otherwise. I mean, even in the US version, if you manage to skip past obtaining her as a character, it actually defaults to Aerith. It was a mistranslation in the custom name input. So we fixed it.
Yad, until next time, where can everybody find you, my friend?
Yad Artworks on all the socials, and right here on Gaming Gumbo. Maybe next week.
Dom.
I don't know.
Hey, it's a weekly show again. You get me right here on
for a couple more weeks. Then we start running into all of us being Halloween buffoons and having stuff to do. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there, Magic Man 1. But more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO. And you'll know every time we go live or doing a podcast or playing FFTCG or whatever. Stay safe. We'll see you on the servers. Later.